You are listening now to the Spirituality Now podcast, the show that is solely focused on practical spirituality, leadership, and mindset skills with the aim and purpose of supporting you master your life. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. We are back after, you already heard another episode. Today we're recording on 888, which is Lionsgate, and a podcast episode with incredible preacher, speaker, spiritual faith mentor, Angelica Diaz is out. Go give it a listen. It was the first podcast we recorded after coming back from a month of not doing anything is a lie, but of taking like kind of a podcast break and celebrating our Sophie that is behind the scenes again because it was her marriage ceremony. And I've been using her marriage ceremony as my excuse not to work. I'm like, we're celebrating Sophie. We need this time. And I'm feeling pumped today to go back more formally, more professionally in such, if you want to say it, in the podcast, because my guest today, you are going to see her right now. She's in YouTube right now. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, well, she's hanging out with me right now. But I'm super excited to have her here. We didn't know when we planned this podcast that it was going to be an astrological, very important day that I'm going to ask her all about it because I'm zero expert on that. And I'm just so excited to be here today for some not needed to know reason. Anywho's, the podcast is being evolving again. So very soon you're going to hear different intros, outros. We used to be fully philanthropic. We're still philanthropic. We're still self-sponsored. My company sponsored the podcast. But just for you to know, there will be upcoming little bit of like pauses in our podcast when we're interviewing these great guests, these beautiful guests, where you are going to receive like, I'm all about tea, really. And I want to contribute to the community for them to get to learn more tea. So there will be a little tiny bit of commercials coming up about tea and special teas and how you can meditate with them and a promo code for you to get the best teas in the world. I am transparent since the beginning, so that's coming, you guys. And maybe a couple of the things that I use that are super holistic that can help people. Obviously, all of that is going to be supporting the Shaolin Cultural Center and all of the causes we support. But just a heads up, it's coming. Anyways, I have in the show a beautiful, gorgeous, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritual guest. Her name is Luna Starfeather, and she's a quantum business alchemist. I need that right now, Luna. And soul activator with a wealth of experience and a deep commitment to next level transformation. She is a No.1 International Bestselling Author and a seasoned psychic medium, bringing a unique blend of skills and insights to her practice and her service. With 17 years in holistic medicine and probably more than 17 lifetimes, Luna has mastered a variety of modalities, including transformational life coaching, energy medicine, inner child healing, NLP, EFT, emotional freedom technique, for those of you who do not know it, Zen meditation, mindfulness, belief clearing, quantum healing, intuitive guidance, DNA activation, and soul level blockage removal. Her comprehensive approach creates unparalleled results for her clients in clearing energetic blocks and upgrading their energetic field. Luna's training in Shamanic Healing Arts from her early 20s adds an extra layer of depth and wisdom to her work, and she's dedicated to helping increase connection to your soul, higher self, and intuition, guiding us leaders, you as a leader, to live in alignment and integrity with your true essence. Wow, what a bio. Welcome, Luna, to the show. Welcome, love.
Thank you. You have no idea how excited and honored I am to be with you here today, especially on this day. It's such a privilege.
Luna, and you're so humble. I'm like so talkative today, everyone. I'm so talkative. It's like we are astrologically, I'm not an expert in astrology, but today's Mercury is retrograde, and supposedly you go more in. It seems to me that I go reverse. It's like when I take caffeine, Luna, I fall asleep. I fall asleep taking caffeine. And Luna, with my former husband, I used to go to concerts, Metallica, the Guns N' Roses, so many powerful bands. Do you know that I will fall asleep standing up? Tell me,
Wow.
why is that happens? Yeah. So when you ever heard here Mercury retrograde, oh, I'm not going to talk to Yvonne because she's just going to be like a parrot. Anyways, Luna, I'm so honored to have you here. I feel a very deep connection with you. I told you since the beginning of our reconnection together. I'm very honored. And I'm going to start the show in a different way. Usually we start people where they come from, their childhood. But with you, I feel that we are a little bit past that, right? I feel that you're the power of the now, the power of who you are right now, and you will share whatever you need to share on your creation of yourself right now as a healer servant of humanity. But I think we're past that, and I'm really curious to start. We are recording. The podcast will be published later on, but we are recording on 888 on Lionsgate. Tell us a little bit what you know about it, because I'm very fresh in those regards.
Well, I am not an expert either. However, I am an incredibly highly sensitive person who feels everything energetic that is happening, whether I'm aware of it or not. So I've had to make it my business to find out what's going on, cosmically speaking, so that I understand what on earth I'm feeling on a daily basis, because I feel it all. So what I do know is that every year on the 8th day of the 8th month, so the 8th of August, there is the 8-8 Lionsgate portal. However, this year it's incredibly special because it's 2024, which adds up to 8 numerologically. So we're in an 8 year. So it's the 888 portal. 8's already a very powerful number. It represents infinity. But, put that together. And this portal energy is really, as all portals are, they're catalysts for enormous change and transformation. They bridge the two worlds. So us being in this portal energy right now, we have a beautiful opportunity at our fingertips to truly align with these interdimensional frequencies and intentionally release the old, release all that no longer serves us, all the lower vibrating thought forms and beliefs and patterns and karma from our field, and align with the higher frequencies, with the new 5D and beyond timeline. But it's all to do with personal free will choice. So yeah, that's what I've been doing today. I've spent a lot of today in meditation, just consciously doing a lot of karmic clearing, a lot of intention setting, a lot of manifestation, and a lot of gratitude, just manifesting what I intend for this year and beyond.
Wow. So that's really powerful and very clear. You're a very good speaker. You explain things of the quantum in a very practical manner, which I love. So Luna, tell us a little bit, or now I'm going to go back there. Tell us a little bit about how you became all of these incredible things that you became, that have served so many thousands of people already. So how does one, what is the story of someone that becomes a quantum business alchemist, a soul activator, energy healer? What is briefly a little bit of the story? What brought you to this moment, to the mission of your soul?
Wow. I mean, it's a big question. It's so hard to answer it briefly. I'm going to do my best. Okay. So, like everyone, I was born with certain gifts. I didn't know that I was an indigo on an indigo mission. That came to me later. But I always knew I was highly sensitive as a child. I was called oversensitive. I was called precious. But I was just a very sensitive being, inside and out. And I felt things. And unbeknownst to me, I was an empath and I was a psychic medium and I was very connected and I had no idea. And as I got older, this gradually became more and more apparent to me. And I started off just being like a physical, in my 20s, I became a physical therapist, and I was doing, the physical healing arts. And then I was attuned to Reiki, and I began my Reiki journey. And that is when everything kicked off, because once I was attuned to Reiki, it's almost like, you're opened up to spirit. So it was almost like I was a cab and my light went on, and spirit saw my light was on, and they went, yay, she's available. And they came rushing in, and it was a bit like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost. And I was just hearing things and seeing things and smelling things and knowing things, and I couldn't control it. I was just a loose cannon. So that's when my teacher suggested that I join a spiritual development circle to learn how to hone my skills, manage my energy, learn how to protect my energy, and how to hone my craft. So I did that for many, many years. I was trained shamanically. That's probably one of our many connections, Ivonne. And then my life took a very unexpected turn in my late 20s, where I contracted Lyme disease from a tick bite. And that basically rendered me bedbound for the best part of a decade. And as soon as this happened, and as soon as I was diagnosed, something just deep in my soul called out to me and told me that this was my mission. It was my mission that, against all the odds, against everything that all the so-called experts and doctors were telling me, that this was incurable, what my fate and my future will look like, that I needed to be on medication for the rest of my life, all these things. Something deep within me just said, no, I don't believe that. That's not my truth. I believe that I can heal myself from anything permanently. I just knew it. And I knew that my mission was not only to heal myself, but to empower other people to remember their power and to remember that they can do the same and transform their lives too. So I during this process, put out this call to the universe, sent this rocket of desire out to the universe to find the answers. And I discovered quantum healing. It literally fell into my lap. From my sickbed, I was working 24/7, studying and learning, and because I was on my own, no one could help me. The doctors were stumped. And it literally fell into my lap. And coincidentally, it was the very same quantum healing techniques that you have created, these beautiful codes of R. And it's no small thing to say that they changed my life. They really did. So I started practicing with these modalities. From my sickbed, I was training up, spending thousands and thousands and thousands on trainings and learning how to use these quantum mechanics to heal myself. And eventually I did. And so I'm here today, disease-free, completely cured. And I've not only transformed my body, I've transformed my entire life. And so quantum manifestation is something very close to my heart, because it's all about self-empowerment and knowing that we are the divine creator and we are the architect of our experience. And so now, my mission is to, much like yourself, empower other people and help remind them who they really are, and teach what I've learned, and help other people to upgrade themselves, their lives, their soul, their business, their health, whatever it is for them, from within, the most organic way. And this is the old ways. This is the oldest medicine in the world.
Wow. So I'm going to go back to the Lyme, because, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. I got a tick bite too. And I'm actually doing a lot of protocols right now for the remaining sequels of that. But when you use quantum healing for something like that, I just want everybody to know that, we're not a medical podcast, nothing, you do your research, but it's incredible that you were able to heal that with quantum healing. That's a testament of the power of the mind, the power of energetics, the power of belief, correct? And did you have to change any of your diet? Did you, obviously, it's all energetic, it's all energies, but what did you have to do for that? Because I know a lot of people will benefit from this.
Absolutely, yes. And I want to be really transparent when I say this. First of all, I didn't realize you had Lyme disease as well. So that must be one of the reasons we're having to have this conversation. So I want to be really honest when I say quantum healing was one of the many tools that I used to heal myself. So with quantum healing and action in the physical, so changes in diet and protocols, etc., I rendered myself symptom-free. However, the disease itself, which is man-made, of course, so there's no cure in nature, sadly, or so I thought. I'll come on to that in a second. I was symptom-free, but the disease was technically lying dormant in my system, and that wasn't enough for me. That wasn't good enough for me, because I know we can cure anything, whether it's organic or man-made or not. So I continued to use my quantum healing techniques to manifest a solution, and I did. And I happen to be very close friends with someone who works in bioresonance. The answer is always energetic, right? And she happens to work with a man who invented this bioresonance machine that has just come to market in US and Canada. It's slowly coming to market in other countries now. I will give you the link to the website to share on this podcast, because everybody needs to know about this. The company's, can I say the company name on the podcast? Yeah. So the company is called Free Medica. The device that I got was called Wave 1, but there's also now new technology called the Nikki, Nikki. And it's basically, you wear it like a watch, and it has a Lyme specific protocol in it. And if I tell you, within, I think about 5 months, the Lyme was gone from my body. Now, I know they as a company can't legally say that they can cure, or they can, they have to be careful legally what they can say. So they use the word heal. But I can attest personally, as I practice Ayurveda, I have an Ayurvedic doctor who works with me, who's right. She can test using certain techniques like pulse taking, etc., to tell what's going on in my body. She told me after 5 months of using this device, the Lyme is nowhere in your body. It's gone.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And I think, it's interesting because before my call with you, and I'm going to go back to your questions, but you know how everything is related and how congruent is existence. And I was talking with a person about the bioresonant protocols for healing Lyme. I am currently creating a sacred geometry code for that. So I think, I thought it was interesting just to bring it out, because I know a lot of people after COVID, what was dormant came back again to life. But it doesn't come back to life just to kill you. It comes back to life for us to heal from it, right?
Yes.
And to perhaps push us to something else. Anyways, I love this. Thank you so much for detouring a little bit with me on this. And I will be interested in all of these websites and everything. And thank you for sharing it. Anyways, let's go back to quantum healing. Can you, Luna, explain what quantum healing is? Because some people don't know what is quantum healing. Why do they think or we think we know, but we don't understand it, right? And how it differs from the healing methods.
Well, it's interesting because the traditional healing methods that people call conventional medicine is actually the alternative medicine. It's very new. Western medicine is very, very new. And the way that we all used to heal ourselves since the beginning of humanity is with quantum healing. And even in the East, they still practice. Eastern medicine is the most ancient practice in the world, and that's still their conventional medicine. It's only us here in the West that have detoured from that and then have the nerve to call the older ancient practices alternative medicine or woo-woo even, which I think is hysterical. But so what quantum healing is really about is realigning our physical, mental, emotional, and energetic bodies with the original design of the human blueprint. And we were built to heal ourselves organically. But unfortunately, so much of that has got lost through the years. So what it really involves is using energy work and intention to, I mean, there are so many different techniques that you could use, but what we're really talking about with quantum healing is working on the DNA template level, which is like the thought energy blueprint, right? From which everything manifests, our physical body, our physical hologram, and our reality. So what quantum healing does is it goes right to the core, right to the root. Like when an architect builds a structure, they draw up a blueprint first, and then they start putting the bricks on top of each other and building the structure. And then it's like asking an architect to build a different building, but giving them the same blueprint. They can't do it. So what quantum healing does is it actually resets our blueprint upon which we can build a new structure, whether that's our body and our physical health or whatever else we're trying to manifest into our 3D experience. But it's working at the lowest possible common denominator level, the thought energy blueprint level. That's quantum healing.
That is so perfect. You know, Luna, you know that I used to be married to someone that works on that and everything. Can you believe that until right now I didn't understand it?
No, I can't actually, no.
I really understand what or receive a very clear response of what is it. I mean, of course, I know like at the subatomic more level, but this was super practical and this totally made sense to me. Thank you for that, because I think this will help people, you know, and I love, can we just say, I love and highlight what you just said. The modern medicine is the alternative medicine. How dare we talk like this, just like this was like a light bulb in my mind. So true. That
So
is
true.
traditional medicine. That's, oh my gosh. I'm loving it this already. So let's talk about, I want to talk about energy blockages because, you know, I have friends that refuse to believe that there's some, that, you know, a lot of my friends are experts, masters in the power of words. And so when they use the word blockage, it's like, we are not going to use that word. We don't believe in that. But, you know, I see the people that come to clean my sewage, right? Like when it rains, we have to keep clean that. I don't know how to call them in English. Tuberia. You will come to
Drains?
the plumbing. Yeah,
Yeah.
the plumbing of the house. It needs to be clear for everything to flow, and sometimes it gets stagnant, sometimes it gets stuck. And I think it's no different than the energetic body, than the mental body, than the spiritual body, right? So let's talk about that without. I'm going to ask people that have like the very strong attachment to the definition of words to open your minds for a moment, because I think this is important. If you see this as a plumbing for your soul, for your physical body, energetic. So let's talk about this. So I have my questions here just so I don't divert. How can someone begin to clear the energy blockages, Luna, and activate as they do it their full potential through the techniques that you use?
Well, so if you're asking how I would go about doing these energies, so you play a major role in this because for me, your codes of R are I mean, of course, we can do everything through intention. We can use visualization. There's a lot of different energy directing techniques out there. But for me, your sacred codes of R are the most powerful quantum healing tool that I've ever come across, because they are literally like prescriptions. They are scalar wave programs that have specific instructions within them, like a computer program, that we can then transmit into and program into our own energetic field. So it's like taking a computer program and uploading it to our own software. that then runs like antivirus or anti-malware software through our operating system, debugging and clearing anything that's discordant, anything that isn't aligned for us. And then we're able to download the latest operating system in order to upgrade our entire computer software. That's how it works. And it's actually really scientific. You know, a lot of people think when they hear about quantum healing, they think it's woo-woo. And yes, I am very spiritual. I am a spiritual practitioner. I am an energy worker. I'm a spiritual healer. However, I'm also a scientist and a massive science geek. And what I love about these quantum healing tools, especially the ones that you have brought into my life, is that they are pure quantum physics. It's quantum mechanics, and it can be explained scientifically. And I love to bridge those two worlds together, the science and the spiritual, because actually it's all the same thing. It's just different terminology, and people think they're mutually exclusive, and they're not. So that's the scientific explanation but as to how that actually works. I don't know if that was clear or not.
Yeah, it's very clear. I love that because you know what? You know, when I create, and I think I should do an episode to explain to people what the codes are, and I have not spoke about it publicly. You know, yeah, I think your description was very clear because yes, and you know, when I create these sacred geometry forms or digital art codes, I used to do them manually, Luna. I used to paint them in like big things. Some of my friends still have those as pieces of art in their home. But I started using technology because, you know, this is where the future is and it gives more access to people. But the scalar waves, yes, I actually have a little machine called scalar wave generator, you know, and you can put it and write machine and it's just so fun, but it also feels very organic with the soul. And I love how you said that it's like programs to act that you can put in your software. And I called it the soulware, right? Like it's like because before we were conceived, before we even had a DNA, there was the potential of who we were. There were these incredible forces of creation willed into existence. And so that's my pursuit. Like every time I do a code, it's like, can I reach further, deeper, like smaller? Can I cross the division of form of name? Can I tap into the nameless? But anyway, so I love how you explained it. It was very, very clear. Now, what are some practical, and I think you just said it, but some practical steps that for our listeners can take to begin to align? There's something that you share in your bio that I love. You talk about the higher self and their true path and everything. So, and this is a question that I get very often, Yvonne, but how can I align to my higher self? With all the things that you've shared and you help people, how do you help people align with their higher self?
Well, if people...
what is their higher self?
Okay, so let's start with that. What is the higher self? So, technically speaking, the higher self is the part of us that is operating beyond the 3D, which is the first three dimensions, the physical, the emotional, and the mental bodies. We are currently existing in 15 dimensions all at once. As we're sitting here, we are existing in 15 dimensions. There are 15 layers to our auric field because we're in a 15-dimensional time matrix. And each layer of our auric field corresponds to each of our chakras. So the first three dimensions are what people know as the 3D. And this is our incarnate self that most people are aware of. And a lot of people think that's all that there is. It's what we can see. It's what we can feel. You know, that's the 3D world. Now, the higher self is the part of us operating from dimensions 4 to 15 beyond the 3D. So in other words, that is from the fourth chakra upwards, the heart chakra upwards. The heart chakra bridges the upper and the lower chakras. It's the place of balance and transformation. So the heart chakra is stationed in dimension 4. So if one doesn't want to go through the process of quantum healing and doing the self-work, the quickest way, I would say for people, the shortcut in order to connect to your higher self is to go into your heart space, is to move out of the head space thinky, chatty brain, which is the ego, which is stationed in the 3D, and to bring your awareness down into your heart space and just rest there. Just bring your consciousness into your heart and just breathe there and start feeling and seeing and sensing through your heart. And when you do that, it does actually elevate your consciousness and you're able to touch the higher self. Of course, there are other more advanced techniques to connecting to your higher self. But that, I would say, in layman's terms, is that the quickest way is to come out of the head and go into the heart.
Luna, I love, I'm a student of Buddhism, right? Um, Not my religion. I always have to clarify for people because I have a lot of Christian friends. I have a lot of friends from all the traditions. And as soon as my beautiful Christian friends see me going to study at a monastery or something, I mean, hell gets loose, you know. Hell gets loose. Poor Ivonne, we're worried for you. I'm like, don't be worried. I'm studying the mind. And I love, I've been a practitioner of the Buddhist teachings for more than 10 years now. And they talk about vehicles. They always tell the Dharma wheel, the vehicles of existence, the vehicles of creation. And when you were saying, and I think this is important for people to understand, because there's so much battle against the ego, or we define someone as egoic. But I love how you said the ego is stationed. This is the first time I hear that, or maybe this is the first time that I pay attention in this manner, right? With the studies of Buddhism, it just matches. And the ego is stationed. I love that on the 3D. How inspiring it is what you just said, with your support for others and coaching, to be able to ascend in our bodies, right? From the 3D, from where our little vehicle, the ego that is taking us here, identity, me, this is Ivonne, this is me as a mother, and all the identification, right? That it's needed. Look at the 3D, just what you said. We need IDs. That shows you we need IDs. Where's your license? Where is your passport? That's the perfect example of, like, how do you know there is ego? Identification. How do you know it? Because this is the dimension of IDs. We identify as woman, man, lawyer, politician, whatever it is. But I love how you said, if you know, in the higher dimensions, you start to ascend to match with your higher self, focus on the heart. This exists in the fourth, 5D. I could go on and on with you on a podcast just on this, because I think this elevates and this gives hope for people that are think that, oh, I'm stuck, it's my ego, because there's a lot of self-belittling, especially in the leadership development area, or in people like you and I, that we are, committed to self-development, soul development. There's I've battled with that for a lot of years, that, oh, this is probably my ego. I beat myself up. No, I don't need an enemy. I have that, the whatever it's called, the dark side or the shadow self in me in the past, right? That it will belittle you. But I think this gives hope for people to understand it's a vehicle. And some people are using it terribly. They are driving terribly. They are not respecting the traffic here in the 3D world. But this is not the final destination. You can ascend, you can elevate, you can tap into your heart, tap into that higher self, and use your vehicle of the heart to ascend and get higher and higher. I love how you explain it. And so, with that said, let's see here. Let's go to DNA activation, because I think this is very important. And let's talk about, first of all, in your body of work, as you help people, align with their higher self and heal and live a powerful, wealthy mission. What does the DNA activation has to do with it? Let's start. What is DNA activation, and how does it relate to personal and spiritual growth?
Well, really, it's simply, when we talk about DNA, we're not talking about the, deoxyribonucleic acid. We're not talking about the human DNA. We're talking about the morphogenetic DNA, which, if you want to give it another word, we can call it consciousness. It's about activating the dormant strands and layers of consciousness that have been blocked or shut down for many reasons, which again, that's another whole podcast. But yeah, it's about awakening, really. And once we awaken that from that sleep state, it enables us to align more with our higher self. And actually, I'd like to just circle back to what you were just saying, because it was really fascinating about the ego and identification. And of course, there's a huge, what I believe to be a fallacy in the spiritual world, that we have to somehow bypass our ego, and overcome it as if it's something beneath us that is not a part of us, that we're having to shut up in order to be truly evolved. And I disagree with that. I think to be truly grounded spiritual beings, we are human, and the ego is one of the gifts that was, given to us when we chose to become corporeal. And actually, we need it because the incarnate identity, the first 3 dimensions, the 3D, is part of us. And we shouldn't reject any part of us. So for me, I don't believe it's about bypassing or overcoming the ego, but rather healthily and lovingly coexisting with it and befriending it so that we can work as a functional unit. It's just like how we have to befriend our body and we have to befriend our emotions. And, so with the DNA activation, it's really about awakening those other aspects of our consciousness so that we can become a more whole and fully rounded spiritual human being, living in tandem and in harmony with our soul. Does that make sense?
It's very powerful. I totally understand what you said about the DNA, the morphogenetic field. And I agree 100% about the ego. I always said, like, some people say the ego is not your amigo. I'm like, it's my amigo, it's part of me. And I remember in Zen, there's a very powerful saying that says that Zen, I think it was Omori Sogen, but Zen happens through the body. You got to go through the vehicle. It's a vehicle, as you said it. It's not an enemy. It's not and some of my pet peeves is when people say, oh, it's just her ego. Like diminishing human beings because of something that we were granted. I love how you said the ego is a gift. Wow. I'm going to make sure that that's in the copy. So this brings me the DNA, the ego. Let's go to the inner child, because that's a key cornerstone of the work, how you help people with. And it's a very special aspect of your work. Why is healing the inner child so important right now, Luna, for personal growth, self-love, self-development? But what are the practices that you can recommend for someone that is really starting this healing journey? I think is just a phenomenal work there that you do.
Thank you. Yeah. So I think really it's all about self-parenting, learning how to truly self-parent, because at the end of the day, most of us are just still little wounded, frightened children running around in adult bodies, trying to play at being an adult. But there really is no manual for learning how to be a healthy adult. We learn it on the job. We learn as we go, and some of us do, more work on ourselves than others. So but for all of us, it's a work in progress. But none of us really know what we're doing, at all. We're all just doing our best to try and be mature and grown up and make healthy choices and good decisions, but we're all winging it. And the bulk of our core wounding occurs when we are children, when we are helpless, when we are apparently powerless, when we are dependent, when we don't have that autonomy or agency to be able to protect ourselves or make our own decisions or choices. So things happen. And what happens is when we experience those traumas, they get stored in our body, they get stored in our energy field, and they are logged there. And they don't go away unless they are actively cleared or actively worked on or actively healed. So yes, we can do a lot of energetic clearings to clear all this stuff, but on an emotional and mental level, for the 3D processing part, which I think is really important, actually, I don't think it's enough. You know, I've studied under many mentors, and there are many sort of varying opinions about the best route to healing. And some people say you don't need to go through years and years of therapy. You can just do a shortcut and cut straight to the energetic clearing and just delete everything from your being. Some people say we don't need to do that. You need to do the donkey. I believe that actually we need to heal on all the levels together so that they're aligned. And so I don't believe in bypassing the 3D work, the physical, mental, emotional processing. I think it's really important for our psyche so that we can change our mindset, so that we can change our relationship with ourselves, so that we don't repeat the same patterns. So that even if we do energetically clear the residue from our field, we're not still creating new attachments and blockages through the same choices and decisions, or creating the same karma, I should say. So with inner child healing, it's really about going into the core of our emotional being, where all that trauma began, where all those woundings occurred, to that little frightened, helpless child, and being the parent to ourselves that we needed in those moments, that for one reason or another, perhaps we didn't have. We didn't have that protector or that supporter. And so there are a variety of techniques that we can use to do this. But one I love to do is to once again, and I would really advise doing this with some sort of supervision if you're really, really vulnerable and you're really, really raw. It's great to have someone holding space for you, because sometimes we can get lost in it and it can be overwhelming, and sometimes we need help coming out. But what I love to do is to guide people very gently and lovingly into their heart space and create a very safe space, a very safe meditative space. And I tell them that they can decorate this space however feels safe to them, you know, whatever feels safe and familiar, and to bring in any support that they need that brings them comfort, that makes them feel held. And I talk to people as children, because I'm talking directly to their children. So I talk in a very motherly and very gentle, very nurturing way, because my background is actually working with children, and I still do. I just happen to work with children who are in adult bodies. And what I do is I lovingly guide people to invite their inner child into the space with them, so they can be with them. And the child will appear however they may appear for that person, at whatever age, whatever they may be wearing. And I guide them to connect to that child and bond with them and just be with them and give them the attention and the loving presence and the non-judgmental, safe holding and supporting that they're needing. And then we start a dialogue, and we allow the child, if and when they feel ready — this takes a different amount of time for everyone depending on how protected they are — we allow the child to basically ask for what they need, and then we give it to them. And this process is the most potent healing that I think I've personally ever experienced myself, and also that I've experienced for the people that I work with. Because in one session, the amount of trauma and reconnection that can occur just from this simple practice is so powerful. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking. It is so profound, because it's not about, you know, when I was going through my own healing process, I thought it was about disconnecting, ridding myself of the parts of myself that I found objectionable, making them go away because they were abhorrent to me somehow. And what I came to learn was it's not about rejecting or ridding or getting rid of any part of ourselves, but instead giving those parts the love and the attention that they need, and then reintegrating them back home, bringing them back home. And I always end this practice, if the client is ready for this, by giving their inner child an enormous hug, a melting hug, and allowing their inner child to literally melt into them and bring them back home into their heart, where they feel safe, where they know they're going to be parented and supported and protected by you. And it's just this wonderful
Wow.
reconnecting that is so powerful. Because again, it's all about becoming whole, right? It's about realignment.
Wow. This, I think, Luna, I was going to ask you if there's a little exercise that you want to share. I think what you just shared, because I just walked through my own exercise, and this was so powerful. And you do this with your clients, right? This beautiful, beautiful and powerful and very visceral. I could feel it, and the way you explain it, it took us there. So I'm going to recommend people to be able to rewind and take it step by step. But plus, your voice is just so soothing. All my talkative thing is just coming down, coming down, coming to groundness, and just bring me just to the last question. But I just want to commend that, because very powerful work, and you have mixed all of these modalities, which are really for the one purpose of healing and empowerment, and just helping people, right? Be better, rise better in leadership, in business, right? Tell me a little bit about that before I ask you the last question. So, all of these modalities that are so powerful and needed, how does, and this may be a oxymoron question, but how are these important for business? How do you bridge it to people to understand that business is an extension of you instead of just something else that you do? Why is it important?
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. You just took the words out of my mouth. When you're a leader or an entrepreneur, a business owner, your business is literally an extension of you. Energetically, it is you. It's an expression of who you are. It's your expression of your service or your gifts to the world. So what's interesting is I'm pretty new to the world of online business. I only went online a couple of years ago. My work was all in person before that. And so what I found was, as I was learning business and I was, taking part in masterminds and meeting other business people, and I was explaining to them about what I do, it was presented to me as an option, which I hadn't considered, because I was helping people on more of a personal level with every aspect of their life, whether it was their health or their relationships or, money or whatever it was, because, quantum healing feeds into every aspect of your life, right? But I never thought about how it could help you in business. And I started attracting fellow entrepreneurs who were interested in what I had to offer, because they were becoming aware, as I was talking and I was explaining about energetic blockages and how it works, and how, if you have certain energetic blockages, it can impact your ability to manifest abundance, or, certain karmic imprints. I was just talking, and they suddenly started presenting me with their opinions about, well, I wonder why I'm hitting this invisible glass ceiling in my business. And I've done pretty well, but I can't seem to get past this threshold, and I don't know why. Or I just can't seem to attract the right clients. They just don't seem to mesh with me, or I can't get past this income bracket, And I was able to sort of help them in one session identify what the specific energetic blockages were, and then clear them. And then they went whoosh. And they were saying to me, I've worked with so many coaches, so many experts. I've done every kind of modality you can possibly imagine. I've done all the business trainings. I've got all the funnels in place and all the business strategies in place. And I've done all this personal healing. And yet no one has been able to find the nuance. I've done belief clearing even, and no one's been able to identify what the thing was. And it's because it's invisible. It's energetic.
Wow.
Right?
This is so powerful. There you hear it, folks. I hope we have a lot of entrepreneurs listening to the show. So That's a very clear explanation. So, Luna, finding and following one's purpose in life is a very key theme in your teachings. So, how can someone discover their highest path, or at least, I think for me, the highest path is not just the destination; it's always evolving, right? But how can they discover their highest path at the moment of where they are in their life and their purpose? How can someone through your work, how what can they do? What advice can you give them, if they are struggling in that direction in life, because many people struggle with this.
Yeah, we struggle when we are stuck in the 3D and we are stuck in the ego, which is feeding us all these false ideas and stories about who we truly are. And we're laboring under the misapprehension, under this weight of who we believe we are, which is all a bunch of illusion and stories, and it's not true. So the best way that you can truly discover who you really are and align yourself with that is to connect and embody more and more of your higher self. And quantum healing is actually the most effective way to do that. When you learn to live from the heart, when you learn to live from the heart space, which is, for me, I'm by no means an expert in this. I'm a constant work in progress. I don't pretend to be the finished, polished product. I don't think we ever truly arrive. So I'm constantly checking myself on this because I get caught up in the ego just like everybody else. But it's become easier and easier the more work I've done to realign, if you like, to readjust and realign with my higher self and my soul space. And then the awakening happens all by itself because that's who we truly are. So it's not about flipping a switch and getting information. It's about just lifting off the layers of shrouding that has been covering the truth that's already there, and then just allowing itself to reveal itself to you. That's all it really is.
Wow, the truth that is already there. The truth that is already. I think this is beautiful. I think this is a beautiful way to complete the show for today. I'm sure we'll have you back in the podcast because we could go in specialization of every single area, the shamanic, the DNA, which is all a body of work. So, beloved Luna, could you tell us where can people find you? I'm going to start with you, but think about it or just share it. If you have a gift for our audience, like a gift will be like if you have a 5% discount in a session, or if they reach out and they put the code spirituality now, or they send you an email, you can give them a 10-minute consultation, whatever it is. So let's start with that. Where can they reach you, and can we offer them a little gift if they do so?
Absolutely. Yes.
From this podcast, people, from this podcast.
You heard it here first. Okay, so you can reach me at my website, lunastarfeather.com. And I do offer a free quantum healing session from my website. It's a free quantum wealth abundance activation session. It's a whole quantum healing session, and you can download it for free. I also offer a free quantum heart clearing session. And this is just, the first one is a video. This one is just an audio that you can download. And I think the first one is about half an hour, and the heart clearing session is 20 minutes. And they will just give you a flavor of the power of quantum healing. If you want to reach me personally, you can find me on social media. I think there's only one Luna Starfeather, so you shouldn't have a problem. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. But you can also shoot me an email at luna@lunastarfeather.com if you'd like to get in touch.
That's so wonderful. Luna, you're the first person that we actually invite people to say, do you have gifts? Do you have something for them? This, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. I'm going to go into your website and do these sessions. There you have it, folks. Our first ever in the Spirituality Now podcast. Free gift for you all on quantum healing and the clearing of the heart. I mean, let's go and explore it. We are going to make sure to put all of the links of Luna here, her website, her social media for you to find her. She's phenomenal, as you could feel her, see her, and this inner child work that she did today in the podcast. For her is sharing, but for me, I was like, wow. I mean, I just hugged her. I just like couple of things. I just did the work. I just did the work through this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so. So, beloved Luna, I thank you from my heart. Do you have any little blessing in it, any last parting words for our friends that are in Latin America that speak English, or our listeners? Any little blessing that you have for them all?
Oh, I think I'd just like to say to everybody, remember who you are. Remember who you truly are. You are a being of light and love. You are an individuation of source. You are a divine creator. You have the power to heal yourself. You have the power to manifest anything in your life that you desire. Just remember your power.
Amen. Thank you, beloved Luna. Remember who you are. I think that's the best blessing we can all receive. We thank you from our heart. Thank you, everyone, for being with us, listening, subscribing, sharing. Remember, we are a self-sponsored podcast, so any of your support in sharing, in liking, subscribing, either in any platform of your choice. We're pushing a little bit stronger right now, Spotify for personal reasons, but we are everywhere, iTunes, everywhere. So any support there, we appreciate it. And also, we're on YouTube. I'm going to get better at it, because right now I'm like, we're just posting on YouTube, but we're on YouTube if you want to see how gorgeous our guests are. I mean, it's like something there, a phenomena. But we love you, and we thank you, and we'll see you next time with another great guest, and do the work and remember who you are. Love you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere where you prefer to listen to your podcast. Make sure to check the links to everything we mentioned in this episode. For more news, future or past episodes, or for any other inquiry, please visit our website at delaflorteachings.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Spirituality Now podcast.